G'day to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. What I'd love to do today is go through a book, and the very interesting book indeed, that I've selected to talk about today is entitled Trigger Warning: Is the Fear of Being Offensive Killing Free Speech? And this book was authored by a fellow named Mick Hume and published on the 25th of May 2015, almost a decade ago. And this particular book explores the growing concerns over free speech, censorship, and political correctness in modern society. So a decade has moved on since this book was written, and things I guess, are even more interesting today than what they were a decade ago. And this advice and these considerations from this particular author are still very, very timely and filled with juicy fruit. So let's take a journey. We'll do a walk and talk and see what we can glean from this book, from this author, who has done a deep dive and expressed his deepest thoughts on this particular topic, a topic that challenges all of us and has left us in many ways numbed and confused in terms of what we can say, what we can't say, and the fear of being cancelled because someone may claim that they are offended. So let's see what we can learn. So the first key point to come from this author is the consideration that free speech is meant to protect all ideas, even unpopular ones, because true freedom of expression includes the right to say things others may find offensive. By protecting only acceptable speech undermines, in a big way, the core principles of free speech. We examine offence, and the author here suggests that being offended is not necessarily the same thing as being harmed. While offensive speech can be indeed very uncomfortable, it does not always equate to actual harm. Conflating the two leads to unnecessary censorship and limits to open discussions. So the author here is basically saying that we need to give each other a freer rein to be able to discuss, to talk about things openly, to think aloud, without people using that as an opportunity to attack and to belittle somebody. Rather, it should be an opportunity to hear both sides or multiple sides and different perspectives. The author goes on to talk about censorship and how it often comes disguised as protection. Efforts to restrict speech are often framed conveniently as ways to protect vulnerable groups, but they can also be used to silence dissent and to control public discourse. So what we're saying here is that we must look through the reasons why certain people want to censor certain ideas and certain subjects, because at the end of the day, it's better to be able to talk about things, to communicate openly, freely, without taking offence, so that you can understand where the challenges and where the pinch points are, to at least give some oxygen to people to feel as if they are heard. The author also mentions in this book that the right to free speech also includes the right to disagree, because at the end of the day, we've all lived a different past. We all are going to live a different future, and we're all living a different present, a different here and now. I am here, you're somewhere else, and we've got a different perspective. And people's worldview is formulated by the slithers of reality that they are exposed to and experience throughout their lives, as well as the weighting that they place on those slithers of reality, as well as the weighting that they also inherit from the media, from their parents, from their uncles, aunts, grandparents, from their cultural background, you name it. There are so many influences on how people interpret life, and it has a big impact on their worldview and on how they see things and how they interpret things. The author goes on to say that free speech doesn't mean speech without consequences. It means that everyone has the right to voice their opinions, and others have also the right to challenge them. When people fear being cancelled for expressing differing opinions, open and honest discussions do become impossible, leading to self-censorship. We look at academic and artistic freedom because they are the ones who are most at risk. Universities, literature and comedy have been affected by increasing sensitivity to offensive content, limiting creative and intellectual exploration. And the last point to come from this book is where the author talks about the fact that a society that limits speech also limits progress, because throughout history, progress has come from challenging prevailing ideas, and by suppressing debate, slows innovation, slows social change, as well as minimising and eliminating intellectual growth. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club, and we'll chat again soon. Bye for now.